Good afternoon, everybody. This is Table Talk. I'm your girl, Jeffrey Jones. We're coming to you live through Facebook and YouTube. So tonight we have a special guest to us. Tonight we have former Jefferson County Clerk Carolyn Guidry, Leblanc Guidry. She's going to be with us tonight. But before, as usual, we're going to do the house cleaning, and we're going to talk about the COVID. You know, this is the new norm, y'all. It ain't going nowhere right now. We have a couple more years, maybe 10 years before this will go out. As it settles down, we have different variants that are coming into our city and our town and our state, really nation. So we just have to do what we're supposed to do, the 3 W's: wash our hands, wear our masks, and have our distance, as always, as it's always been. Always, if you feel like you have even sinus infection, you need to have it checked out because you never know, it might be COVID. And go ahead on to your pharmacies or to the urgent cares or wherever to get tested for COVID and to see whether or not what's going on with your body. You can go to Beaumont Urgent Care or any urgent care that they will take you to be tested. All you need is your insurance card. If you don't have that, some of them are taking cash payments, but they shouldn't be taking cash because it should be free. So, but check with them and see what's going on. So you have your urgent cares, you have MD Kids Pediatrics, which is on I-10 North Frontage Road. You have Christmas Point too over on Dowling Road next to Hobby Lobby. So go there, and they do that on the weekends, on Saturdays. But during the week, they give vaccinations. So go. You have your Walgreens and your pharmacies, all your pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, all of them. They test you. They give you vaccine, everything. So y'all, get in there and get tested with your vaccines. And there's a new vaccine that will be coming out pretty soon, probably next month. It's called COVAX. And I heard about that last week when we had the doctor on. And I asked about mixing the vaccine. What you do is you'll get the booster. And so since you already have the vaccine, you're going to continue and get these booster shots. So you need to, do what you need to do, get those boosters, because the vaccine that you took, it only lasts like, let's say, 6 months or so. And then you can keep getting boosters. So let's get checked out, keep getting checked out, because this COVID is taking us out. So let's check ourselves out, wear our masks, watch our distance, wash our hands. Okay. So tonight we have us Carolyn Leblanc Guidry. Hey, Miss Guidry, how you doing?
Hey, Miss Jones, I'm great. I'm
good. Good. I am so elated to have you on my show tonight. I've been trying to get you on for the longest. I tell you, and you'll say, "Okay, I remember."
Yeah, I know. And hey, I'm excited to be here because retirement is good. I have time to do a lot of things I hadn't been able to do before.
Yeah, well, I know that a lot of people know who you are, but just for a little fresh up, can you kind of introduce yourself? High school you went to, and all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Well, I was born in Beaumont, Texas, at Hotel Dew. Like most of us born back in the 50s. That was the hospital where the Negroes went back then. And I was born in Hotel Dew here in Beaumont in 1952 to Viola and Harold LeBlanc. I had 3 siblings. My oldest brother has passed on, but I still have my brother and my sister. We were raised Catholic. I belong to Mother Mercy Catholic Church, been there all my life. I attended Catholic school from the kindergarten to the 8th grade. And after 8th grade, I had to beg and plead with my parents to please let me go to Hebert High School. I was very athletic, and I wanted to do something more than just go to lunch and breaks. So I begged them to go to Hebert. That was very challenging for me. So I did get to go to Hebert High School, which is where I graduated from, 1970, the infamous class of 1970. Deborah, you know something about 1970. I know you went to that other school.
Yeah, the real school.
That other school. I call it that other school. But what's so funny, Deborah? I say that other school, but Charlton Pilot was the only school that we knew coming up because, like I said, we went to Catholic school. So we didn't know anything about the public school other than what we knew through my father. My father was a Bulldog, class of 1941.
Yeah.
So all the football games we went to was Charlton Pollard football games, right? So my first year at Hebert High School, I was a twirler. I'm sitting there in the grandstand and we're playing Charlton and Hebert playing each other. And Charlton made a touchdown. Tell me why didn't I jumped up. People looked at me like I was crazy, but that's what I was used to doing. You know, I was used to pulling for Charlton Pollard High School.
Right.
So that was challenging when I first got to Hebert School, just trying to switch my mentality that I was no longer a bulldog. I was a Panther now. So I'm really a Panther bulldog.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after I graduated from Hebert, I took a little sabbatical and then I enrolled myself into Durham Business College. I don't know if you all remember Durham Business College. Back in the day, we had Chenier and we had Durham. Well, I went to Durham a couple of years, and then after that, I started my career at Southwestern Bell in 1974. So, and you know, that just went on from there. I stayed there 30 years, retired from there, went on to the county clerk's office where I retired from there now, which I'm glad to say. And I've had two wonderful careers. I've met beautiful people along the way. And I have a wonderful family, a wonderful support system. So I'm just blessed. I'm just blessed, Deborah.
Yeah.
And you're a part of my support family too. You know that.
You know, I know that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you said you during business school. I was a Chenier.
Okay.
So we got kind of something in common because you went to Hebert and wanted to go to, and you wanted to go to Charlton.
Yeah.
I went to Charlton. Then after that, I went to Chenier. So after Chenier, then I went to Lamar. So
Okay.
it was like I really didn't want to go. My parents wanted me to go to the black colleges, but I didn't want to go because everybody in my family was going, and I didn't want to go. So I went to Lamar, and I graduated on from there.
You sound like me. I was a difficult child in my family. I think you were the difficult child in your family.
Had to get it right. And
Yeah.
I know, guys, there's a little feedback, and we're trying to work on that feedback right now. But bear with us while we get this out of our system. But just bear with us, please. Anyway, so what enticed you to run for Jefferson County Clerk?
Well, actually, I was getting ready to retire from Southwestern Bell after 30 years. And Miss Margie Plummer, most of everybody know Miss Margie Plummer from the Pale Arch. She was a civil rights activist, very active in the community, and a family friend, family acquaintance. And she just sat at the table with me one day, she and Susan Plummer, her daughter, and said, you know, there is no incumbent. I think you'd be a good fit for county clerk. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I don't even know what the county clerk does. And at that time, I really did not know what the county clerk did other than issue marriage license. And I said, let me read up on it. Let me check on it. And I did. And I studied the job with the job until and after a couple of nights, I called and I said, you know what? I think I will run. I said, I have nothing to lose. I'm retiring anyway. Why not? So I just got into the game, and you know, God blessed me and brought me through, and we did a lot of grassroots politics, and I had a lot of help from a lot of people. Uh, just came and supported me.
Let me first will y'all please share this process? Let everybody know that Carolyn Guidry is on. She's a former Jefferson County clerk. So let everybody know. Let's share. There it is, Karen. Okay. So before you became the county clerk and you were working at the when you were working at AT&T, what did you do?
Well, when I was at Southwestern Bell, I first started off in the business office. I only stayed there 2 years. And then I went into the network side, which is the side that works on the switching equipment. At that time, they were converting all the old switches, all the mechanical switches to electronic switching. So they had major conversions going all across the state of Texas. So I was able to get into that field. We had to pass the courses in order to do that, and this was not a job that normally women got into. So they kind of like opened the field up for us to be into this particular career. We had to take a lot of print reading, troubleshooting. We had to work on equipment. We had to learn programming. We had to learn just everything to do with the new switching systems and stuff. And after I did that for so many years, um, telephone company, they were shutting down part of the offices down here, and that's when I got moved to Houston. I spent almost 10 years in Houston at the control center down there, which I didn't like that too much. Adrian was a little baby then, and it was very hard for me with a young child in Houston. And so I switched from the technical side and I went into the major marketing side. That worked out really well for me because in major marketing, I only had three uh, Fortune 500 clients to deal with, and I traveled. I traveled a lot, but I had like I said, I've always had a great family support system. I had my mother, I had my sister, I had aunts, my brother. So that made it easy. And Adrian was not school age yet, so that was still kind of easy for me to be able to have that type of job. And the job had a lot of great benefits, and the pay was much better. So I stayed in that job until finally, an opening came in Beaumont, and everybody would kept saying, "Well, why do you want to go back to Beaumont? What's in Beaumont?" I'm like, "It's home." They didn't understand that Beaumont was just always home. I actually took a cut in pay to come home. That's how
Wow.
serious I was about getting home. I mean, my mother was still here. My sister, my brothers were still here. I just wanted to be home. And
Right.
I knew this was the place that I wanted to raise my child. I had raised one child here was grown now and had been to the military and out. And I wanted to raise my second child here. So finally I got a chance to come back home in 1997, and I've been here ever since. So I finished my career with Southwestern Bell. It was Southwestern Bell. They converted to AT&T after I retired, and I retired in 2004, as you know, the same year that I got elected to office. So after I retired, like I said, the opportunity was there. Took advantage of the opportunity, and like I said, God has really blessed me with positions and favor uh, through my entire, our age, through all those years.
Carla, I know that during and possibly before election, it could be very stressful. How do you handle the situation that certain for certain deadlines to be met?
Well, you just have to plan ahead. I'm not a last minute person. I always like to plan ahead, whatever I do. It doesn't have to be pertinent to work. It's just my day to day life. Like even for me to get up and go to work every morning, my clothes are already laid out every morning. I do this. I have a routine of how I manage my day to day routine. So I just believe in being organized, and you have to be organized. And certainly when you have deadlines, you know what those deadlines are. So why would you wait and procrastinate, knowing you have something coming up till the last minute? Because anything can happen that might deter you from meeting those deadlines. So I always try to plan ahead, try to plan just in case something happens to make sure that I have that extra time. That's like when you leave here and you're going to Houston, you don't want to leave an hour and a half ahead of time thinking, okay, it only takes an hour and a half to drive there. Yeah, normally it takes an hour and a half to drive there, but what about the traffic and, the construction and the accidents? You have to take all that in consideration when you're planning things out. So you just can't take it down to the wire and say, oh, I just need this amount of time. So I try to make sure that I have plenty of time for whatever it is that I need to do, especially when it comes to meeting deadlines and especially state deadlines.
I want to ask my listeners and my viewers, don't forget to ask questions to Ms. Guidry so that she will answer all your questions if possible that you throw out to us. And I do see one, but before I get to that one, I want to ask you, Ms. Guidry, what is involved in a presidential election that is not involved in a local election, whereas your local election is just as important as your national election? So,
Right. Well, they are all important, but for a presidential election, we're dealing with the parties. We're dealing with the Democratic and the Republican parties per se. And actually, for the primary election, that is their election. And that's the same thing for the political subdivisions. That's their elections. They just contract to us. As it is right now, as a county clerk, or as the county clerk, or because we have a county clerk in Jefferson County, the county clerk does not have to contract with political subdivisions to do their elections. They're actually doing a favor to the political subdivisions by contracting with them to assist them in their elections, but they're not obligated to do that. The only elections a county clerk is obligated to do, is mandated to do by statute, are the ones that's called for federally or by the governor or by the county judge. So the big difference is that you do all the same things. You have all the same polling locations. You have all the same procedures. You have all the same guidelines. Your dates may vary. Some of the political subdivisions elections are on a Saturday versus all of your federal elections are going to be held on a Tuesday. That's the only thing that's really going to vary. But your deadlines are all going to be the same as far as meeting deadlines for time military ballots have to be out, the time that your early voting locations need to be open and closed. And of course, with your political subdivisions, they too have some decisions about the polling locations as far as early voting locations. But if they want to take advantage of the vote centers, then they have to comply with the county rules and regulations.
Okay, so she said, would you say that the position of county clerk touches every area of county government?
Yeah, pretty much so, because, well, in a lot of aspects, because the county clerk is the official public record keeper, of course, for all the county records. And at this time, the county clerk also oversees the elections for the county. The county clerk also administers to the lower courts, which is your misdemeanor courts. So they have a hand in the lower courts as well. Also administers for the commissioner's court. So pretty much do everything except collect taxes, I guess. We don't collect taxes and we don't issue permits per se. But the county clerk, I always say when I've done different presentations and speaking to people, the county clerk touches the lives of every citizen of the county. Because if you think about it, if you're born here, then of course we're going to have your birth certificate. Of course, we're not the register anymore because the city is, but at one time we were. If you die here, we would have your death certificate because we were the register at one time of that. If you get married, you will come to us and get your marriage license. If you buy property, you're going to come through us for your deed records. If you own cattle, you even come to us to get your cattle brands. The only thing you don't come to us to get is your divorces. And we're glad we're not in that business. But if you have to go to court for any reason, and we hope not for any kind of misdemeanors, you would come to our office as well for that. So we do touch a lot of lives in a lot of different ways in the county clerk's office. We're just like a multifaceted type service. And I guess it's a one-stop shop for a whole lot of things that you may require in the county clerk's office.
Okay, I see that I'm echoing. So when I talk out, mute, and as I talk, you'll come back on. Is that possible?
You want me to mute?
When I talk.
Oh, yes.
When I talk. Okay, so how do you manage confidential information?
How do I manage? I keep my mouth shut. Well, I mean, most of the records are official public records, and they are accessible to the public. But if anything is not official public record, then the public would not have access to it. And of course, everybody in my office, including myself, we take an oath to protect those records, just as if a judge would seal a record. Then that record would be sealed from the public as such. So anyone violating that oath would have consequences. And I mean, they could have misdemeanor or felony consequences depending on, how it affected that person or that person's life. Because some things, if you release, you might get somebody hurt behind it.
You just mentioned something that a judge have sealed envelopes for people, for what? With those sealed envelopes? Sealed envelopes. They have sealed envelopes. Okay, so why is those envelopes sealed though?
Well, sometimes they'll seal court records, especially court records maybe dealing with a minor, or maybe there are some other issues in court that between some type of agreement they've made that those records are to remain confidential. It could be records, like for instance, in the county clerk's office, we have mental cases. Those records are not public information. That's not public information, so anybody can't come in and just look to see who might have a case on file, a mental case on file or whatever. Those records are not open to the public. But a judge in his realm of authority has the authority to seal anything that he sees fit within his court. Those would be his guidelines.
How often are the elections throughout the year?
Too often. Well, we have every other year, you have a primary election. You're either going to have a presidential primary or you're going to have a governor's primary. Stemming from the primary, you could have a runoff election. Okay, so you could have those two, which would be in the months of March and probably June, or March and May, something like that. And then, of course, that later that year, you're going to have the general election, which is the election where you would actually have the voting on the president or the governor, who's ever on the ballot for that year. So that would be another one. Now, you would not have a runoff stemming from that, because in that particular ballot, you're just going to have a Democrat and a Republican running against each other. Well, I take that back. Probably not. You could have a Green Party and a Libertarian Party also on that ballot. So it just depends. And then a lot of times in the November election, you have political subdivisions that are trying to have their elections as well. And the county clerk's office will contract with them to be on the same ballot with those particular races as well. So those are going to be the odd, and those are going to be the every other year's ballots. And then on the odd number years, like this year, this is 2021, right? You'll have your political subdivision elections, and that's normally taking place in the month of May. And then, of course, you would have a runoff in June if there's to be a runoff. And then in November, you're always going to have your constitutional amendment election. So those are the normal elections, unless there are some special called elections during the year.
Let me go to my viewer. It says, Carolyn, Guidry breaking the barrels even in the 1980s. One person says, it is amazing that Carolyn stepped out on faith to pursue the county clerk position. She made a difference and a trailblazer for Blacks in Beaumont. Thank you, Carolyn. Okay. Corey, let me see with his Corey. If my cattle commit misdemeanor, I can pay fines there too. I think somebody just break.
No, actually, there's a cattle commission, and we don't handle fines that I know. There is an authority for that. We only register the brands and stuff, and the brands have to be renewed, I think, every 10 years. And you'd be amazed at the people that, they fight over those brands and stuff. But those brands came in real easy, that they are cataloged and they are kept in the county clerk's office, because when we had the first hurricane, you can imagine all the dead cattle we had all over the county. So that was one way of identifying who the cattle belonged to. So those records are very, very important. But any complaint about cattle, there is a cattle commission, but we are not the authority on it. We only keep the records.
I thought that person was just making a joke, but I forgot that animals have more rights than we do. So, Carolyn, what's a typical work day of being a county clerk?
Typical work day, I normally try to get to work at least by 7 o'clock, sometimes 6:30 if it's the election time, earlier than that, but at least by 7 o'clock, I'm trying to at least get to the office. We get mail. We get mail that's delivered to us from a courier. We have a post office box, so we get a lot of mail every day. People send requests in for deed records, for court records, for marriage license, for birth certificates, with the proper documentations. You can do that through the mail service. And we have to sort all that mail And then when our clerks get there in the morning, that mail is dispersed to certain clerks so that all that mail is handled within that day within a timely manner, so that all of those requests are answered timely and responded to. After that, try to get me a cup of coffee or two, and just see what the day brings. Normally, I have people that drop in all day, which I've always had an open door policy. Anybody that have any issues or any complaints, that need help with anything, I'm always there to assist them. The county clerk's office cannot give legal advice to anyone, but we do have available to us resources that we can show them what they can go to help themselves. There's some self-help tools that they can utilize to help themselves. You don't always need an attorney to take care of everything, because if you go to the county clerk's website, there are some self-help tools on there. There are also some on the district clerk's website where you can self-help yourself rather than seeking always an attorney for everything. So we try to guide them in the right direction, because everybody just can't afford an attorney for everything. And some things are just that simple that you can do them yourself. For instance, like Office Depot, they have forms for a quick claim deed. If you're trying to transfer a property that you own and you're selling it to somebody else, you go to Office Depot and get a quick claim deed and do it yourself, because all you need to know is you have to have your description of your property. You do that by getting a copy of your deed from our office, and you fill all that in yourself. So we just try to walk people through. So anybody that comes to the office, we just try to help them in any kind of way that we can. We're not always able to help everybody with their questions, because like I said, we're not attorneys. We're not legal help for anyone. But if we can point them in the right direction, we try to do that.
Yeah, but share on here that need to know what goes on in the county clerk's office. Okay, so you mentioned we know that you are Jefferson County Clerk. Jamie Smith is District Clerk. What's the difference?
Okay, like I said, I handle all the official public records for the county, all the deed records, all the marriage license, cattle brands, all the old records dating back to the 1800s that's been filed since the incorporation of this county, since the county of Jefferson County incorporated. Jamie is the district clerk. He handles everything that has to do with the felony courts, anything that would be a felony case, and anything to do with child support. So that's what his office handles. So that's the only records that he would maintain.
Okay, so being a county clerk, I know you have to be a people's person because you're going to get involved with the public. So what skills is your greatest challenge when being involved with the public? What are your greatest skills?
Well, I've always been a people person. I call myself a social butterfly. I've always been that. I think that I know how to communicate with people. I don't talk down to anyone. I never have. That's never been my role, regardless of what role I took, whether I managed people, whether I was their union officer, even when I was union vice president. There's always a way to talk to people. I just believe in speaking to people the way that I want to be talked to. So I think my greatest asset is just that I just know how to treat people how I want to be treated. And as long as I do that, then I'm comfortable in what I'm doing. And hopefully the person that I'm dealing with or I'm talking to is receptive to me in that way. But if I see it going south, another way, then of course I have to change and adapt. You have to adjust sometime depending on the people you deal with, because it takes all types. We have all different types, and it depends on people's moods and stuff. Everybody have a different mood on every different day. My biggest challenge going to the county clerk's office is that I had never worked with so many women in my life. Because the job that I worked in, basically with the Southwestern Bell, I mostly worked around with men, with guys, with males. So I never worked with so many women. And I found out what real PMS was. And that was challenging. And I found out what picking was. I never knew what that was because I never was in that environment where, there was like picking and clicks and stuff like that. So that was a little bit challenging for me to deal with that. But, we all saw through it. And I think we all became family at some point in time. And after a while, I think we were a good mesh, and I think highly of the county clerk's office. I think they do a fantastic job, and I think they are one of the best customer service oriented departments in the entire Jefferson County.
Unmute. That's awesome. That's awesome talking about, the people who work with you and around you. That's awesome. So I need my people to come on with some questions so you can talk to Carolyn Guidry. Okay, but before you come on with that, how long did it take you to learn that job?
I was still learning that job when I was leaving that job. I mean, there's always something to learn because the legislation changes, of course, every 2 years, and you never know what they're going to throw at you. People change, so I mean, it's always something to learn. I don't think on any job that you're going to get, you're going to know everything when you leave that job. It's a learning process, but you got to be willing to just dig in. You got to be willing to read. You got to be willing to do the research, and you got to be willing to invest yourself into that position if that's what you really want to do. And I love the work. I'm not kidding. It was challenging on some aspect, but it wasn't overpowering. Anybody can go in there and do the job if they have the will to do it. If they have the will to do it and they don't mind studying and just trying to read and comprehend what they are studying, because it's no rocket scientist work. But like I said, you do have to be a people's person because you have to deal with a lot of personalities and you have to mesh with the entire community. And you are there for a service, and that's what should come first. So if you remember that you're there for service, then I think that makes the job a whole lot easier.
I know, like in a job, I was an educator, so that I have to deal with the public. Also, I have to be a people's person too. I remember one day I had a parent, well, several times, I had a parent come in the classroom. I got there early in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning. School doesn't start at 7:45, whatever. And she busted my classroom. Went through the front office, came into my classroom. I just have to turn around, and she started screaming and hollering. And I had to get back into my persona and say, okay, you got to get that salt in out of you, and start and being nice. And she was, she just went all the way to the left, and I'm like, ma'am, I understand, but you have to get out my classroom right now. I can't talk to you right now. You have to go to the office first, and it's protocol. You just don't come into someone's office just busting their office. But it's protocol, and you do have to be a people's person almost any job you be on. Yeah. So like you said, I am a people's person. I love to laugh. I love to meet people, and I that's just how I am. That's how my family is. But everybody, I'm kind of different in my family though. But
I told you we the different ones, and sometimes I had to go to my corner and say, "Don't let that Pale Archer come out of you now." Yeah, so I know how that is too.
So being a county clerk, you have numerous priorities. So how do you determine what's more important than the other?
Well, when it's election time, elections is your priority. That's without a doubt. And everything else just kind of go by the wayside, takes care of itself. But, the whole thing about it is that when you have a good staff and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, then nothing stops. Everything just keeps flowing because you have that support. You built that support. The office works well. And like I always say, one monkey don't stop no show. So whether you're there or not, the work goes on. They know what they need to do, and you just have to make sure that your expectations are met not just when you're busy, but all the time on a daily basis. Like I said, if they're doing their customer service, if they're meeting the needs of the county, then it doesn't make a difference what else is going on. I don't care how busy you get. The work will go on. We may have to put some things off for a day or two, but it will still get done. So you just set your priorities depending on what's going on. Like I say, elections is always a priority because you never want to disenfranchise our voters. To me, that is the most important thing in Jefferson County, is that people get their right to vote. They get to exercise their right to vote, and they are not disenfranchised in any way. They're not limited by the number of polling locations. They are not limited by the number of days or by the hours. That's what we are there for. So that is number one priority for me, as long as elections was underneath my department. My next priority would make sure that our judges are taken care of, because that is our our responsibility to make sure that we administer to the courts. We are the clerks of the courts. We have to make sure that we clerk the courts and that those records are secure and safe, because we could mess up. If we mess up, we can put somebody in jail by accident. We don't have much room for error, so we have to make sure that we're always on our P's and Q's. And that's why it's very important that your staff, your management, is always on their P's and Q's. Everybody's going to make mistakes sometime, but make sure that your overseers are doing their checks and balances on a daily basis, because some mistakes we just don't have to make. And we certainly don't want to see somebody incarcerated when they should not be, or somebody picked up for a citation when it's already been taken care of, but not removed from the system. Things like that has happened. You know what I'm saying? So we want to make sure that all those things are kind of like taken care of. So it all just comes through administration, making sure that you have a good staff, making sure your staff does what they're supposed to do, and making sure that you do what you're supposed to do, because you cannot be an absent boss. You cannot be an absent boss. Everybody tell me, you work all the time. Well, yeah, I can't play boss for my house, so I believe I need to be a part of the process. If I'm not, then it's time for me to go to the house. That's not why I went to the house, though.
So you work directly with the judges, right?
My people do. We support 4 courts. We support 2 misdemeanor courts, which is Judge Woods and Judge Holmes. 1 civil court, which is Judge Eddins. And of course, we have the probate court, which is Judge Brannick's court.
So, Ms. Guidry, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Oh, my strength is that I don't mind challenges, regardless of what they are. My weakness is probably that I have a soft heart when it comes to people and hurt. Like for every disaster that we went through, of course, I was at the county clerk's office. I have to be there because if there's any kind of orders and stuff that need to be issued from Judge Brandy's office, I have to be there to issue those orders. And it was just, for me, it was just hurtful to see so many people in pain, so many people that was just isolated, so many people distraught, not knowing what to do, so many homes destroyed. Like when I rode down, when I finally got out and was able to ride through the community and stuff, I'm just riding and crying, so I know I have a soft heart. I'm tough with a lot of things, but when it comes to people's hurt and pain, that's the hardest thing for me. And it doesn't have to be family. It could be just anyone. I just don't like to see people hurt and pain. So other than that, I'm a tough cookie other than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just came out of the election. So what can you say about this last election that we just come out of? You think it was run smoothly? The candidates ran it smoothly and everything? So
I think the county clerk did an awesome job on this last election. I spoke with them and they were done by shortly after 9 o'clock. I mean, that's awesome to get the returns back and counted. Of course, it's not the official numbers because they still have to count provisional ballots and any ballots that come in from the military overseas, which they have another additional 6 days to do. But they did an awesome job in getting the equipment out. They did an awesome job doing early voting for the number of people that turned out. I think the city could have had higher numbers to turn out, but it was still a good turnout considering. But we still have our work cut out. What they need to realize is that there is a runoff, and that's the most challenging part. Is that once an election over with, most people don't even realize that there's a runoff. So getting people back out to vote. Your vote, if you don't come out and vote the second time, your vote the first time didn't even matter. Because now this is what's going to matter. This is where you make your choice. This is where you get your final say of who's going to be the mayor. And if you don't make this vote count, then you really just wasted your first vote. So now you've made, you all made a decision. We're down to 2 candidates, and we need to make sure that we get back out there and vote the best thing for the city of Beaumont.
That was my next question. You kind of answered my next question, but in some detail, but not all of it. So I was gonna say, what do you think about the runoff election with the mayor positions as far as when it is set on June 19th, and which Juneteenth is the Black community celebration day? That you know that we as Blacks celebrate Juneteenth, and so I'm thinking that they put it there because they know that we celebrate it and that Black people won't vote then. So how you feel about that?
Well, actually, they didn't set the date that's set by statute, Jennifer, but I think it's a wonderful day to have an election Juneteenth because, I've been saying, and I say this all the time because they always say, I made history and I appreciate that, but I made history in 2004 and we need to continue to make history. Zena made history. We need to continue to make history. And we have another opportunity to make history again on Juneteenth. We just need to get out and vote. And that's what they need to remember. So I think that's a wonderful day to have an election. And anybody certainly anybody look like us that know what we went through to have the right to vote should definitely be out there casting their ballot and making sure that once again, we make history. So I say, let's get out there and vote and let's make history on Juneteenth, 2021.
So now the two candidates, Roy West and Robin Mouton, they have to get out now and campaign again, right?
That's correct.
So now we, like you said, we as people, we need to get out. But like I know that once we vote one time, we think that I already voted once, I'm not gonna vote again. That's the mentality that some people have. I'm not saying everybody has that mentality. Some people have that mentality. They're not gonna vote again. We got to push it. We got to push these people to go out and vote. If you're gonna barbecue or you're gonna go out of town, whatever you're gonna do, go. The polls open at 7 o'clock, right? And you go ahead and vote at 7.
Right, but there still will be 1 week of early voting. So they still have an opportunity to vote before Juneteenth. If you want to go celebrate Juneteenth, that's fine. But celebrate Juneteenth after you done celebrated and cast your ballot. Then you really have something to celebrate, okay? You can say, I cast my ballot and now I'm going to celebrate Juneteenth.
Absolutely. But you guys know you have to vote because that's your right, that's your voice. And in order for you to say that we put whoever in office, you got to vote. You have to. There's no if and buts about it. We have to vote. So I appreciate these candidates who won the election. Ward 1, Taylor Neal. 2, my guest. 3, Alderman Samuel. And 4, Charles Chris Durio, AJ Turner, Councilman at Large, and Randy Felshaw. God bless you. God keep you. But it's now time for you to do your job because we're going to hold you accountable for what you say you're going to do. Because a lot of you guys came on my podcast. And we're going to hold you accountable. I'm sure I'm going to hold you accountable for what you said on that podcast. I wrote everything down. But again, back to you, Kat. I know that you are retired now. I know you're retired, and so I know you're not gonna just sit there and just enjoy retirement. You like me. I'm not gonna say, because I know God's got my name on something to do. I'm just walking it through. Just let's see where I'm supposed to be. So what is your next site where you want to go?
Well, and I was saying when as I left the courthouse, and that's what I told the news media. That was just a pause for me. Sometimes you just need that little break to just take a pause and see, okay, which direction, where am I going next? What does God have for me to do next? So right now I'm just sitting back. I'm just enjoying the retirement that I do have right now. It's been wonderful. I've been able to get some things done that I haven't been able to do for myself in years, like cleaning closets, a little addition going on. For the first time, my grandbaby will be 3 in June. I get to keep him a whole week next week, and I'm so looking forward to that. So I get to do some of the things I hadn't been able to do for the last 46 years that I've been working, really. And so right now, I'm just on a pause. I'm on a pause to see what brings. We got a lot of things going to be coming up in 2022. We got some very important elections coming up. I don't know what's on my plate for 2022. I just have to wait. I'm going to pray on it and see what God puts on my mind, or some of the voice going to tell me something sometime, I'm sure, But I never count myself out of anything, because I'm like you. I have to be doing something all the time. And what I have to do is I have to give myself to the people. I think that's my mission here on earth, is to be of service. And I certainly want to continue to do that. And I continue to do that even now as I retire. My pastor drafted me first off, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind doing anything for anybody. Call me. I've been called. Teresa said, "I wish they stopped calling you, ma'am." I said, "That's okay. They're still calling me about the elections and everything else. I'm not changing my number. I have the same number, and I don't mind. If I can answer, I will answer." And you're right. I don't plan to just crawl away and go somewhere. I'm still here, and I still want to be active, especially in my community, and anything that I can do to make sure that, our voting rights are strengthened. If anything, especially with all this new legislation and stuff that's coming out, we need to make sure that we're on that. And I certainly want to be a part of that process that's coming through here, talking about the changes, the legislation changes that they're trying to push through that will definitely disenfranchise us from voting, and we need to be on top of that.
They like they had that voter suppression the other day. You guys need to read those House bills and see what's going on, because they're really trying to stop this voting stuff. So you guys just read them. You can go to my page or to what's the guy's name? The Democratic guy. What's his name, Carolyn?
Joseph?
Joe, yeah, Joseph Trahan. And Joseph Trahan page, and read about those House bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but it's bad when they don't even want you to give somebody water if they're standing out at a polling location. That's terrible.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so you since your retirement, there are numerous people that I can recall that actually would love to run for your position as county clerk. And at one time I had thought about it, and then I think I was dreaming, so it went back out. So what can you tell them that they need to bring to what they need to bring to the table?
Well, they need to bring a clear sense of service. Because if you're not there for service, this is not the job for you. You got to be totally committed. You got to be willing to. This is not an 8 to 5 job. If you think this is an 8 to 5 job and go home, it's really not. I mean, it can be if that's how you want to run it, but trust me, if you do an 8 to 5 in that job, somebody's going to get shortchanged, which is your public. So I think you just have to be a person of service. You got to be really committed. You got to be able to multitask. You got to be willing to just give up yourself to Jefferson County, and that's what it's all about. and just be prepared. Like I say, it's challenging, but it's nothing that a rocket scientist. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it. If you're a willing worker, if you're a busy bee, you got to have a lot of energy. You can't just be laid back and expect somebody to do everything for you. I had one person said, "Well, I can come be your secretary." I'm saying, "Honey, I don't have a secretary." "Well, who does your stuff?" "I do my own stuff." We don't have that kind of budget. I was my own secretary. Anything I needed to do, I did it myself. So they really don't understand the layout. They think it's just you're at the top and all this stuff just gets done for you. It's not that way. You need to be a hands-on person, and that's what I loved about the job because I'm definitely a hands-on person. So if you're a hands-on person, this would be a good fit for you. If you like just getting down, like I said, getting down and dirty, then that's for you. It'll be a good fit for you. And being able to work with your employees, not just direct your employees. There's nothing wrong with being a leader and being able to delegate, but you need to be able to get out there in the trenches with them and work with them. And I think that goes a long way with your employees when you're able to do that.
Right. I'm definitely not a visual person. I am hands-on. And a lot of people, they'll be telling you, okay, you see this or you see that. No, I don't see it. I need to be right there doing it, in order for me to do the work. So, and that's just how I am. But you have done a great job as a Jefferson County clerk, and I know it was a lot to curtail into it, and I know you put your all in all into it. So I want to thank you personally for 16 years as county clerk and doing, because I saw you moving around. I saw you moving and you move, going here and there, riding to Houston, coming back and I saw all that. But a lot of people really don't know what it takes to be the Jefferson County or any county clerk, not just Jefferson County, just any county clerk, and be good at what they do. So I personally appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I enjoyed every minute of it, though.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You say something?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, we couldn't hear each other. Gwen says, "Great job, Miss Guidry." So, Laura Graham says, "Go for it, Deb." No. But so I like being out in the public. I like doing things, and so whatever I can do, if you see something, if you go for something, Karen, and you say, "Well, let me call Jeffrey," know that I'm there for you. Know that I'm there, and I'm ready to do the job or whatever it takes to do what needs to be done. So, and the last thing you want to say to the public?
Yeah, I do want to say that I am so encouraged by the candidates that we have for this city election. I'm so glad to see our young people taking an interest into our government and stuff. I hope nobody gets discouraged that may have not got seated this particular time and that they forge on, because it's a stepping stone. And be encouraged by what you did do and by you're showing that you did have, and be encouraged by it. Stay focused and stay involved in the community, because that's what we need. We need our young people. We need all our people to be involved and to step up. And that's the only way we're going to get anything done, and we're going to make any changes here in the city of Beaumont and in our county of Jefferson County. So please stay involved. Love seeing all of you out there. Don't forget, let's get out and vote. Let's have a turnout, unbeknowing a runoff turnout for this Juneteenth. And you can say it's Juneteenth or whatever, but we need to make history. It's time to make some more history. Let's keep making history. Let's not stop now. You know what? I think Stacey Abrams started a lot of this here with the turnout she did, the record she did. And we need to continue that legacy. And we need to make sure that we carry this on into the primary next year, because we have very important races coming up after we get past this runoff. This is a very important runoff election. Then we're going to have our amendment. Who knows what's going to be on the amendments, because they try to screw us up everywhere they can. And anytime legislation meeting, we know the state legislation, which is Republican run at this time, is really messing up. And then after that, we go into our primary. And I think it's time for us to get a new governor. And the only way we're going to do it is if we've turned out in record numbers. So please, carry on what you're doing. Those that have been involved in this last election, please stay involved. Stay committed to the mission of getting people out to vote. We turned out great numbers for this election. Continue to do so, and try to encourage everybody to go back out and vote in this runoff election, if you will. Thank you, Deborah, for having me on today. I really enjoyed it. This is a nice break from my retirement. I enjoyed this.
I enjoy having you on. I'm looking forward to having Robert Donato what's her name?
Donato Mouton.
I'm waiting for her to come on, because I'm pushing for her to get this election. We have the first lady, black lady, as mayor, and we can do it. We can do it. We have thousands of people here in Beaumont that need to vote and get her in office. So,
and Deborah, you know what's at stake? If Robin doesn't win, we will have an all-male council.
I was looking at that today. I'm like, what?
I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. But this is the year. This is the year of the woman. This is our year. This is our year. This is our time. So we as women need to reckon. We need to get that vote out. We need to turn that vote out, and we need to show up in record numbers for this coming election. And we can do it. Show them we are. We
need to reach one, baby.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So let's do it.
Let's do it. And y'all know that I will be on this podcast hollering, screaming about, let's get this person in. Let's do this. Let's do that. Come on, y'all. Teach one, teach one. Let's go and vote. Get those who didn't vote this last election to vote. Or those who did vote this last election to vote again.
Right. And don't forget, just because you didn't vote in the last election, you're not disqualified in voting for the runoff. You can vote in the runoff, even if you did not vote in the first election. So they need to be mindful of that.
Okay, one more question before we go off. Are they going to have any more propositions on the election? Oh, that was it.
No, that was it. Thank God.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
Thank you,
Lord. Yes.
Well, y'all heard. Okay, guys, you guys heard. We had the chance to interview Miss Guidry today, Carolyn Leblanc Guidry, and I really enjoyed her today. And I appreciate you in all aspects. I admire you. I admire you, and I admire the work that you do. So, because I know it's not easy. So you keep up the good work, and if there's something else that you can do later, don't forget about Twiggy, baby.
Okay. I got you.
Okay, but y'all, on a serious note, let's vote. Let's vote. Let's go back out. We're gonna go back out again, and we're gonna vote. And so we're gonna do it. You heard Carolyn with all her aspirations and everything. So you heard her. So let's do it. We can do it. We can do it. And I forgot to also say great job to Stacey Lewis on the school board. So yeah, I forgot to say that. God bless you guys. God keep you is my prayer. If I can help somebody as I pass along the way, then I know that my living is not in vain. Stay on camera. If I get them off, my living is not in vain. God bless you. God keep you. Smooches. We'll see you later.